Let's have a conversation on how to raise your self-esteem. Hi, my name is Dr. Natalie Jones. I'm a licensed therapist. This commenter says, I would love to see your take on raising self-esteem and self-respect. So this is a really good question. And so, just going straight off the dome here, I think when you want to raise your self-esteem and self-respect, you have to be intentional about it, just like you're intentional about anything, just like you're intentional about anything else like diet and exercise, right? And so you have to be mindful, maybe journal it or write it down somewhere like, I want to increase my self-esteem and self-respect. Here is why this is important to me. Here are some things that I will do every day to raise my self-esteem and self-respect. So that's number one. It's like that's sort of like your promise to yourself every day, like that you start out with your big goal and then you work down and have like several micro goals. You could try and do it alone on your own, or I always recommend having the help of a licensed therapist to help you with this kind of stuff. But you could certainly tackle it on your own and get like a little journal to sort of track yourself, keep track of your goal, a journal, or like, I have a whiteboard calendar behind me. You guys can't see it, but like, just things that you're doing every day. So I think that's number one. Number two is you have to recognize that you can't heal in the same environment that hurt you. So if you have people around you that are attacking your self-esteem every day, even people who are passively doing it or passive aggressively doing it, you need to get rid of those people, or decrease your contact with those people. You can also confront and tell them, hey, don't do that anymore. So there's several different options on how you want to handle it. An example of someone being passive or passive aggressive is someone who's giving you backhand compliments like, oh, your dress is cute, but I don't think I would ever be bold enough to wear that out, wear that to work, that kind of stuff. So, you definitely want to minimize the interference of people who cause you to doubt yourself or think lower of yourself. And also, people who make you want to perform. So if you're noticing like when you get around certain people, you feel like you have to put on airs or sort of fake the funk in order to gain any sort of approval in their eyes. You want to distance yourself away from that. At the very least, you certainly want to say, what is it about this person that makes me feel like I have to be superficial or I have to be performative or be someone that I am not? Why is that person bringing that energy out in me? So I think that's number three. You want to make a list of the things that you are insecure about when it comes to yourself, and tackle those one by one. Again, making the big goal. Like I may be, I may be feeling insecure about myself because I am overweight. And so you want to maybe tackle that goal and then have micro goals like underneath that, like, okay, I want to, one, eat cleaner, two, exercise, 3 out of 4 days a week, 3 out of 7 days a week. Start out with that kind of stuff, right? So smaller goals that you feel like you can handle. And I always say break things down into smaller chunks because a lot of times when we have these big goals, we could set ourselves up for failure when we feel overwhelmed and we're trying to overdo it for ourselves because we're rushing, trying to get to a headline, and then rushing trying to get to the goal, and then we overwhelm ourselves, we stress ourselves out, and we become very discouraged and give up. So that's number three. Number four, a lot of times when people don't have a lot of self-esteem or self-respect, they can become performative and take on a very malleable identity, meaning that they just acclimate to whoever they're around and just sort of turn themselves into whatever they think other people will like. And so I think the next thing would be to develop your own identity, and stand strong on that. If you're quirky, be quirky. If you're, if you like to dance, then dance and embrace that, and just start to become very authentic with who you are and stand in your authenticity and your truth. And with standing in that, you have to recognize that not everybody's going to like you, right? And you have to be okay with that, that like you are not for everyone, just like everyone is not for you. And that's okay. So just getting comfortable with being disliked, as well as being comfortable being authentic. The other thing I will say is, especially when it comes to self-respect, you have to align yourselves with peers, mentors, and other people who embody self-respect. So to me, it wouldn't make sense if you are trying to obtain self respect, but you hang around a bunch of people who don't respect their own selves, whether it's that they don't respect their bodies, they don't respect their own time, they don't respect, or they lack ambition and goals and things like that they're trying to achieve, or they allow people to walk all over them. So it doesn't make sense, because it almost puts you in like a parent role, where you're like advocating for someone else more than you're advocating for yourself. But really, you need to be more aligned with people who embody the traits that you're trying to embody, if that makes sense. So if you aspire to have more self-respect, and you're a woman, then you need to, align yourself more with women who have self-respect. You need to have an understanding of what self-respect means to you. Does that mean, for example, a woman who's always, is presentable, a woman who's good at her job and shows professionalism, a woman who treats people like equal or professionals, however that looks to you. Does that mean like as far as intimacy goes, are you a person that like has certain standards that you would like to have when it comes to like intimacy? In self-respect, do you hang around people that like, follow rules and guidelines and things like that? Or do you hang around people that, rules are made to be broken and I don't care how people feel, that kind of stuff? Um, the other thing I will say is you want to get comfortable losing people who are not okay with boundaries and standards that you set for yourself, because people who don't want you to have boundaries are the people who are benefiting off of your labor the most. And so chances are, when you set boundaries with a lot of people, you may have some adverse reactions, even from like parents and siblings and whatnot. Some people that are close to you, but you know, they benefit the most off of you having any. So get comfortable with the idea that everybody's not going to like it. They don't have to like it, but they do have to respect it. And one last thing that I'll mention is you want to let go of the idea of needing to explain as you are an adult. I feel like a lot of us, you know, feel like we have to explain or justify or come up with some reasons for our actions, our identity, who we are, and whatnot. And the reality is, you don't really owe anybody an explanation. And particularly if you pay your own bills, you work, you pay your taxes, you do all your things, don't really owe anybody anything. And so that's one of the things I think helps the most. So, for example, I'll use an example. So somebody calls your phone, like let's say your mama calls your phone. Your mom's like, "Oh, I called you like 5, 10 times. Why the hell didn't you answer?" You know what? I don't really owe you an explanation. I don't owe you any reason for why I didn't pick up the phone. That's all you need to know. And honestly, you want to get people out of the habit of interrogating you or coming to you with judgment and feeling like you have to respond. I hope that helps. Thanks so much.